Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the LCS report. I'm Rob. He's Nick, and we start off every episode asking the same old question. How you doing today, Nick?
I'm good. I'm excited to get into playoffs. We have finally escaped. We don't have to keep talking about best of ones and the
Thank
problems
God.
with best of ones. We can just get into League of Legends the way the good Lord intended. Best of fives, really, testing people's mettle, both in terms of a long series, but also in terms of how many strategies they can pull up, and
Yep.
mid-series adjustments, which I think is a big thing that we don't get to see in best of ones. So I'm excited. How are you?
I'm great. I'm also excited for that, and we will let you guys know that we are not going to be able to give any All Pro thoughts, Rookie of the Year thoughts, Coach of the Year thoughts, or MVP thoughts because we're cool enough and lucky enough, honestly. And I would say hardworking enough too. We'll give ourselves that little bit of credit to have been chosen to be voters. Another split. I really thought they were going to take mine away after the Berserker mishap, but I got to keep it. So appreciate you guys over there at the LCS. But I am excited because, dude, this weekend was nuts. I don't think
I
like
just
you're literally messaging me on Friday. I'm like sitting there watching the games. I'm like, oh my god, he's right. Like this is
how
crazy.
screwed are
Like
like we're so things happened in such a different fashion than I think we expected.
I think than anybody did. I think most of our picks
Yeah,
were the consensus picks, to be honest with you. For the most part, there were some changes, I'm sure, but um, bro, like I think we would be doing ourselves. We'll do this. These are the final standings. We'll give these real quickly, as we do at the beginning of every Tuesday episode. FlyQuest ended up finishing in first with a 2-0 over 100 Thieves for the split. So they were able to take first place with 100 Thieves in second, also at 10-4. Third were Cloud9. They did have a not as strong as we would have expected, but still pretty good week 6, super week, going 2-1 to finish 8-6. Fourth, and I think a surprise to both of us, I even went so far as to pick TL to not make playoffs, and they were pretty damn close, I will say, to not making it. But they pulled it out, 7-7, finishing fourth. Dignitas beat NRG in a tiebreaker game to finish at 7-8. That leaves NRG as the last playoff team at 6-9. Shopify Rebellion were not able to go 3-0. I did tweet at them. They gave me the Rammus okay. I felt slightly disrespected with that one, to be honest. I was hoping they'd give me a little bit more than that, but at least they responded. So I appreciate that, Shopify. And I'm kidding, by the way, with the disrespect. I thought it was hilarious. I was geeking out when I saw that they sent the Rammus okay emote. And then 8 was Immortals Progressive, finishing at 4-10. They actually had a much stronger weekend than I thought they were going to have. We won't really talk much about the teams that didn't really make it. To be honest with you, Nick, I don't really think that sadly it's worth it. I am still sad that Shopify couldn't
no,
find their way in the playoffs because I do think they're going to be an interesting team, or would have been an interesting team. That being said, I do think our 6 teams that are in playoffs offer watchability in every series. I don't think there's going to be necessarily too many, hopefully 3-0s. I'd be pretty surprised based on what we've seen all split. But yeah, that's where we're at with that. We'll go into picks real quick, and then we'll also go into our power rankings. Then we'll actually talk about everything that's going on because there's just a lot for us to go over in a short period of time. Both of us finished
yes,
at 5-7. As a quick reminder, we had the same picks because NRG decided to 0-3 this week, potentially to no fault of their own, or at least Nick's giving them that grace. I don't know if I'm there yet.
not entirely, but we'll get into that. But
they,
a
they,
good a big part of it wasn't their fault, in my opinion.
no, that's fair. They did hurt us though. Them and well, really, it was just them. They were the only ones that really kind of hurt us. If we had gotten even 2 of those right, the script is flipped, man. But you did finish at an even 50-50, which, considering how weird this season has gone, I think that is a success. You finished at 28-28. I finished at 30-26, a 54%, which I will honestly gladly take. You'll see this little playoffs one here. I will tell you that there is There are predictions under there for me. Nick's going to be putting his up there for our next episode as well. Lastly, here, like I said, we're running through this really quickly because we have a lot more to dive into, especially before we head into the next episode. Power rankings. Our last week of power rankings to finish out the split. Both of us had FlyQuest 100 Thieves C9, much to Nick's chagrin. He struggled really mightily to not put Dig up there at third, and he'll explain why here, I think, in a minute. We both have Dignitas at fourth. I had Team Liquid at fifth. Nick decided to put TL at sixth, NRG at fifth. I actually went super spicy and put Shopify Rebellion at sixth on this one, with NRG at seventh, and both of us had Immortals at eight. I will give my quick rationale for NRG. I do consider the week before, regardless of illnesses or anything else, when you go 0-3 and you literally, well, technically 0-4, because they also lost to Dignitas. I'm just sorry. Like, you got to find ways to win. You got to find ways to put it together. And I don't think necessarily, like they did not have the easiest schedule, but still, they needed to find ways to win. I'm not as confident in this team. They just seemingly have too many blunders to recover from right now. So I hope that, I'm wrong, because I do like NRG as a team, but I just don't. I take into consideration the week before and going into it. Obviously, this would mean that they are likely my sixth team heading into playoffs. I've been struggling between them and TL, if I'm being honest with you, in terms of power rankings. We'll have to see. That'll come out tomorrow. Yeah, Wednesday. I will have my power rankings officially out on thegamehouse.com. You can check that out. But Nick, I've been talking for the last 3 minutes straight with us going in there. I would love to hear your rationale between the Dignitas and Cloud9 discussion or decision.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, if we're looking at, especially like looking at week 6 in a vacuum, you could argue that Dig was the cleaner team. And I think Dig has been pretty clinically efficient in their wins in general, which has been really nice to see. And I think it's really easy to be like, well, they're picking a lot of Smolder, they're winning a lot of games. That's true. But their bot lane has been getting advantages all split long before Smolder came out. And even so, regardless of how they get that advantage, if it's just Smolder carry, seeing how the rest of the team plays around, once that bot lane is ahead, everybody understands the assignment, and that's really nice to see. I can't, in good conscience, put them over Cloud9, even though I thought Cloud9 had a pretty bad week. Record aside, I mean, that Shopify game was, I think, could have been ended several times over. Mm-hmm. Berserker had a horrible weekend. Berserker maybe had the worst LCS weekend he's ever had. But I mean, this sounds like last week again, right? Charlie Brown, Lucy with the football, but I can't completely rule C9 out. This is, I mean, we've seen this happen. I mean, they have a, best of fives are such a different beast, and something that Cloud9 has. Previous iterations of Cloud9 who have struggled in best of ones all share this same trait, which is that their players individually are strong and have incredibly deep champion pools, which is still true. And I think that's going to make a bigger difference. The only way it doesn't is if C9 continues to draft the way they are. I think they might be the worst drafting team in the West. Like, they're the worst drafting team in the LCS by a pretty considerable margin, in my opinion. And I don't know what's going on there. So, but still, I couldn't in good faith put them over Dig. I think, I think C9 should, until they literally die, until they lose, they should still be considered a playoff, like a finals favorite for sure. That being said, Dig looks really clinically efficient. My reasons, which I already talked about, my reasons for NRG over TL were that Dokla was, if y'all don't know, incredibly sick, like in the hospital before LCS sick, like they need a top lane substitute for these situations sick. I mean, I'm sure it was like a freak thing. But like you said, I also understand, like, not, like I'm kind of doing what I did last week, which were we expected in week 6. Here's going to be a regression to the norm, right? C9's going to get together. NRG is going to go 3-0. 100 Thieves will regress. That didn't happen, really, the way that we expected. Will it happen in playoffs? I'm banking on, hopefully. But Dokla sickness aside, we have to acknowledge that I think the problems with NRG here are that we have two solo laners who were pretty important to their run last summer who have just not been who they were last
Yeah.
year. Dokla, sick or not, has not been the same player. Palafox has gone from a top. I mean, he's not horrible, but he's certainly not in the conversation of best mid or even top three in my opinion right now,
No.
and far from it. So you have a bot lane that is genuinely good and very familiar with each other, and I'm wondering if their individual mistakes are coming from the fact that they feel like they are the only reliable carry threat. So the moment they get a small advantage, they want to just push it because they're like, oh, fuck, if we dive this tower and we go to up 2-0, the game is over. We have won the game by ourselves, which oftentimes is true.
Mm-hmm.
NRG do these plays at 6 minutes in that can win them the whole game, and then they don't go well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So I'm wondering if that's pressure from the solo lanes not being the reliable, and like it's not just individual play being worse, but it's also like maybe it's the meta, but they used to have these cool flex picks and there was a lot more diversity in what they chose. They could really throw players off. They haven't done that as much. And even when they have, like Dokla's Vayne top, it hasn't really looked good. Yes, they won that game, but they won it against Immortals who threw a lead, which like I mean, I'm pretty sure we could put a team together and Immortals would do that to us too. So like it's just like, it's like, yeah, you had Vayne top late game against a team that can't close. So it's just not been the same. So I do get you being down on them, especially because we've talked, this show is basically a Shopify fan show at this point.
Yeah.
And it's only just wait, you guys. You have no idea what's coming. I think they did that C9 game they battled mightily. If you're talking about performance, they had a better performance than NRG did this week. I think Immortals did too, but Immortals always plays well when they've already been eliminated. So
yeah, pressure's off. They just don't care. They just send it.
So it's so annoying to watch because it's like, oh, this team could have been really, really fun if they didn't because everyone's like, oh, they're scrim monsters, and I'm like, are they? I'm like, oh, I can see how they could be. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I think that having TL over NRG is very fair. I think that NRG finished at 9-9 the year they won the summer. I think this is a team that's more than the sum of their parts, and a team that's built in the clutch. I think it's simultaneously fair and unfair to rate them where I am, because I think I could very much be right after this week and they could look awesome. But also, if we're talking about what they've looked like in the last few weeks, I'm overrating them a little bit.
Well, and I think that's the big thing is, I'll be honest, their games have largely looked like disasters to me. I've really felt like they've regressed to what I thought they were going into last summer, to be honest with you. And I'm almost wondering if maybe the problem is the pressure that comes with everybody expecting them to be good, right? So they feel like they have to play maybe more meta. They're less willing to take risks, all that kind of stuff. Because, they did play well, obviously, at Worlds. They have talent. It feels like everything, they were the team, they were the prime example of a team the LCS potentially has ever sent to a Worlds or MSI, international tournament that was truly better than the sum of their parts. We can say that about a lot of teams, but this team has been that, right?
CLG 2016. CLG 2016 also. Okay. But same formula.
That's fair. Yeah, and it's same team kind of. But that's fair. Okay. You're right.
No, but I get what you're saying. There are a lot of similarities, and yeah.
Yeah, and they just they're not playing like that now. They're not playing together, it feels like. They have been I think that's been the problem, is it's you brought in Huhi, and I thought that was a huge upgrade over Ignar, and maybe it's just that the gusto that the two of them are showing is too much. Bring it back just a little bit, play maybe a little bit more conservatively in the bot lane, and hope that Palafox and Dokla can figure it out. Contracts can maybe help you get leads elsewhere. I don't know. They I don't feel like I've enjoyed watching them. I don't feel like their comps have really worked for me. And it's felt like they have just not played the way that I hoped that they would. So definitely a big disappointment for NRG. And I will tell you that ultimately I may end up putting them over Team Liquid. I really just don't have faith in this team. To be honest with you, I wanted to put them lower, but I felt like it would be too egregious to put Shopify at 5th, to be honest with you. So, and I needed to get one more good Shopify 6th
Yeah.
up there for the split. But like, I will tell you guys, I went back and looked. TL were not really challenged, I think, as much as they should have been. The reason I say this, and you can, I don't know, you can beat me up in the
I mean,
comment
they beat
section, whatever.
FlyQuest, no? They beat FlyQuest, right?
Bro, they played Smolder Gaming. They won 2 games with Smolder. Like, Jan did not die. He didn't do jack squat for like half of that game. And it was like, FlyQuest,
Okay.
push the lead. Go do something. I'm watching that game and I'm sitting there like, do something. FlyQuest, do something. Smolder's going to get too big. You need to do something. Come on, FlyQuest. Oh, yeah, inspired. You can go. Nope, not going to do anything. Hey, you guys going to attack him yet? Nope. Okay. Oh, Smolder's a big dragon now. You lost. Like, that's literally
Yeah.
how the games went all weekend. I put out a tweet about it. If the other team has Smolder, you're going to win. I think in the West, there was one loss on Smolder, and I believe it was NRG.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
at least up until today. So, I'm just going to tell you that, like, my belief in TL are Impact got to play Renekton, and they won both games he got to play Renekton, and Jan played Smolder. That champion's so busted, there's no way that he should be getting, like, not just permabanned the entire time right now. I just think it's stupid that they're letting him through. Like, I'm seeing some of these other bans, and I'm like, guys, there's a champion who literally wins you the game at 25 minutes. Doesn't matter how far back you are. It will, even in the LPL right now, I've been seeing, I Will Dominate and a bunch of other people talking about how crazy, batshit crazy Smolder has been all day. And I think they had 2 pentas already just today.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know?
I mean, you saw that stat. It's been done to death, but that stat put up by Leo, the LCS stats guy, about Smolder got to his, I forget the number, but he had I forget if it was like 100th pentakill or what the number was, but the point is, it took him like to get to this milestone. Maybe it was 100 pentas in pro play. I can't remember exactly what the milestone was, but it took him 1/3 of the games that it took Zeri to get there.
Yeah. And
And we
it's,
remember how horrifying Zeri was early on,
mm-hmm.
right? Which
Yeah.
says a lot. And I recall that TL game. Maybe it was a different one, different smaller game. But there's, like you said about TL, to bring it back to them a little bit, like this is still the same team. Like we wanted to see like early game aggression. This team still just plays for scaling. They fell behind at several thousand gold, and
Mm-hmm.
then relied on Smolder and Rally and Soul to win their team fights, and it
Yep.
worked
Yeah. And it
because the
did.
team let them scale. But this team, like again, this team this feels like the exact same team that they were in week one.
And
Like I don't feel like they've grown at all, and that's pretty concerning.
That's why I'm worried about
So
them in playoffs, to be honest with you. And that's
and that's
why
fair.
I
That's
may
completely
end up
fair.
putting them 6th. Like I said, I wanted to count what
Yeah,
they did in week 6 as well in these power rankings. But like ultimately, I think they're probably the worst team going into finals or into playoffs right now. Like I just do. I don't think that they fixed any of their issues. I think you ban out some scaling options, make them pick stuff early and see if they can do anything with it. I don't know that they're going to. This is not a TL hate train, by the way. As if you remember all the way back at the beginning, people could have accused me of being an APA apologist. I still think he's better than people are giving him credit for. I still want to defend him and Jan, honestly. I'm more disappointed in up until this point, up until literally this week. I felt Impact could have done more. I think it was maybe the picks that they were putting him on, to be honest with you. I have genuinely not been overly impressed by Umti. I know a lot of people have been still. I know Nick shares a very different opinion than I do on him. I just haven't seen it, to be honest with you. It's just felt like there's been a disconnect between him and everybody else. And I felt like Core JJ is just regressing really badly. Like, I don't think he was terrible this split, but there were some, like, that Bard game is now etched in my mind almost as much as
that was
anything in
bad.
this split. I mean,
That
that
was bad.
game was like, I am not a good
It was bad.
player, and I'm not going to say I could have done better than him, but I don't think I could have done too much worse. I
Yeah,
still would
it's
have done
like one of those.
worse, for sure,
It's
but
like one of those. Yeah, but you can theorize it. It's like one of those moments where you see X Smith, he missed the Sejuani, and you're like, I can hit this. You know what I mean? Like
yes.
it's like I maybe couldn't get us there in that game, but I could press R in the right direction here. I get what you're saying, and
Yeah,
that game was terrible.
and
The
that's
game
not,
was
again, he
terrible.
is a
That was
legendary
bad.
support, and he is incredible, right? And what he's done for the LCS is insurmountable, truly. But I've just been like, where are the vets on this team? Why are they allowing APA and Jan to take the brunt of every single like insult and shit talk for this team? They have been the whole damn split. And guess what? They're going to pay for it in playoffs. I'm telling you right now, they will. I don't care what you say. I know you feel differently with Impact and Core JJ are just going to turn it on. They're going to figure it out. I don't think they will. I think they will win
Well,
game one, and then I think that they will lose after that. We'll have to see if I stick with that for our next episode, but like that's just me off the cuff right now talking with you about it. I just could totally see that happening.
I hear you. No, I think it's. I mean, there's just a lot of issues because I think like you said, you know, the younger carries kind of bear the brunt. I think the place that I maybe differ from you a little bit is that I'm a big fan of APA, but I do think a lot of the criticism towards him this split was pretty justified. I thought he did kind of have a sophomore slump. Um,
Sure.
I thought that and I do think individually he will have to play better if this team does well in playoffs. He has not played as well as he did last year, even in
No.
my opinion so far.
Yeah.
Um, So, like, I think, like, there needs to be some stepping up there as well, but also, even if he plays better, it doesn't change the fact that this team has issues that I feel are symptomatic, and what's frustrating is, like, Emily Rand said this during, one of their pre-games, and I think it was after they beat, like, I forget who it was, but, like, it's like, what's frustrating is this team can actually have, like, top 1, top 2, like, run-through clean games in the LCS. There's a couple if you cherry-picked a few of TL's wins from the LCS and took the nameplates off, you'd be like, "Who the fuck is this team?" But it's so inconsistent. Like they can be so clinically efficient, legit. Like there's a few games this split where I'm like, oh my god, this is awesome. But they never ever get there consistently, and there's still like a lot of disconnect and fear. But I also think I do think APA has actually been a little bit. I think he's been overly criticized the whole time,
Yeah.
his whole LCS career. I think those criticisms are a bit more justified this split than they were last. He's had more time, and I think he's gotten worse or stayed the same.
I think he
Um,
stayed the same. I don't think he's gotten worse. I mean, he still had some pretty solid
He's
games.
played worse. I don't think he's gotten worse. I think we're talking about a 14 game sample size. That's allow me to amend that. That's fair.
Yeah.
But I do think he's looked worse. He has been a worse player on paper than he was in his rookie split so far. That could definitely change, and that might not all be his fault, like you said. But yeah, Team Liquid's scary because if it all goes well, this team still looks. There's still these glimpses and like these certain games. I'm like, yeah, that's the third place team I expected. That's a team that could
Yes.
challenge the top two.
Yep.
And that team shows up like every 4 days, and then there's like Jekyll. There's like Jekyll, Hyde, fucking Doctor. I don't even know,
Spanky. We'll
and
call him
Mickey,
Spank.
Mickey, and then Mickey Mouse, Disney money, fucking Team Liquid. I don't know. The point is that like there's so many different versions of this team, like that we don't know if we're gonna get the good one. And it can just fall apart so quickly because of how anemic their early game is. They choose to play it so safely, even if they have good positions, they don't freaking do anything. And then like APA might have a bad game. And he's had bad games on like his picks, like Ziggs. That's what scares me a little bit. Like, I'm bad at this game, you guys. I've spent so much time playing Fizz. I was a Fizz one trick for a very long time. And even now that I play more champions in my spare time, when I do poorly on Fizz, I'm like, oh, this is a problem. I need APA to at least be like a free win on Ziggs. When he's not that, I'm scared. So I'm with you. I'm not super confident in TL or NRG. I do think NRG is the better team if Dokla isn't like coughing up a lung or whatever. I don't know what was wrong with him, but he was very sick. But
fair.
like you said, both these teams still have problems outside of individual people, and a lot of it comes from an identity that hasn't really I feel like TL hasn't really changed. And Energy's trying to do the same thing they were doing last year, but their solo laners aren't pulling the same amount of weight that they were last year.
Yeah.
So we have these teams that are kind of in identity crises for different reasons. Which is why Dig is that's why Dig is a top 4 team
And
right
that's
now.
where I was going to say is it kind of worries me that Dig's a top 4 team, and it's not an insult to them. I'm proud of those boys. I think that they've played really well. If you go back really far to my Talking TSM days and even my Hot Takes days, and other shows I've been on in the past, I have been a huge fan of Tomo. I've loved seeing him succeed. I wasn't as high on XU. Good for him. I've been really low on Isles at multiple times. Had a solid split. I think Rich is more of what I thought he was going to be than what you thought he was going to be, which is surprising to me, to be honest with you. I really thought you'd end up being right, but there was just something that I saw last year that made me worry that he was almost like a poor man's Summit, but not as good at
I
times.
thought that was what this team was going to be, and I'm
Yeah,
honestly happy to be wrong because I
yeah,
don't
I
think
think
he's
it's
even
worked out
been.
better for sure.
Yeah, I don't even think he's been bad. I just think that it's been. I think that he hasn't been as dominant, but I think that is as much as his level of play to do is this Dig being a very, very bot focused team. Rich's highlight reel this split has been creating space for Tomo or big Gnar ultimates. Not solo carry performances. And if
Yeah.
they're gonna play, if Tomo's gonna be this reliable of a carry threat, fine.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
no,
cool.
exactly. And it's like, yeah, I mean, give him the opportunity. I'm definitely intrigued by Dig. Dove has also been a little better than I thought he was going to be, so that's been a nice surprise. I still think XU has been the biggest surprise, maybe in the LCS. I know it's saying a lot considering how many surprises we've had, but like, I really didn't think he was going to be this solid.
No, yeah,
We'll see
he's
what
been
he.
awesome. He's been awesome.
Yeah, and
I
he's like
completely agree.
taking risks. He's having fun. He's talking more. Like, there are some young, interesting players in the LCS this split, and the last team that I really want to dive into before we go into playoff mode next week. Again, we cannot give any of our actual like all pro votes or MVP votes or anything. If you've been watching the show, you might have a decent idea. I will tell you there is one player that we are 100% split like sharing on our all pros that I don't even know if we have said his name more than like 4 or 5 times on this show, but like you'll love it, guys. Don't worry. Regardless, I just want to talk about 100 Thieves for the next 5 to 10 minutes with you because that's how
I'm
I think
in.
we're going to end this show. Like, dude, guys, this team is so much freaking fun. So much fun. Like, Sniper's solo tower diving on Olaf, respected top laners. He is totally disrespecting respected top laners with how well he is playing. And
And
he's
winning.
fun. He's looking at the camera like he makes a play. He looks at the camera knowing that they're going to pan to him and does something. I love that. I can't express to you, yes, how much I loved it. And, I only ended up doing one interview this split. I hope to do more next split. It always ends up being that way just because life gets pretty busy when it's not just the LCS that you're covering. But I will tell you that this kid is special. He is a special person and a special player. Like, I was so impressed with my interview with him. Like, the amount that he's learned from his brother. And, he took off basically an entire split to work on his mental health, to learn how to re-love the game and find his own expectations for himself and not what other people were putting on him, and learning just to be happy and enjoy playing the game, right? Like, those were his biggest things. Because I asked him, I was like, what are your expectations? Well, my expectations are that we're going to have fun, right? Like, that, he said the word fun, I think, multiple times at key moments during my interview with him. And this team is having fun. I don't know that there's a team in the LCS having more fun than 100 Thieves right
No,
now. And,
no,
and,
definitely not.
yeah, and they're doing it as a group. It's not just that like one person is carrying necessarily. Quid has come out of nowhere. I didn't expect him to be anywhere close to this good ever. I know he
He has
was
been
young,
sick.
but
Yeah.
he's been unbelievable this split. River has been unreal. Meech and Ayla is like giving triple middle fingers to everybody who doubted him
To like
after.
half the LCS,
Yeah,
yeah, like
like, and it's like 100 Thieves. This was supposed to be a budget roster, and it may still be, but they always have seemingly been able to identify good young talent. And
yeah.
I just want to say that I'm really like, I am proud of this team more than I am of any other team because they have defied expectations. They've continued to find ways to win in different ways. And they have, I don't know if there's a team in the LCS that has grown more than 100 Thieves throughout the split. Like, just in terms of their play styles have evolved. They've shown that they can do it on multiple different champions. Like, I'm very interested to see how these playoffs are going to go for them. They are absolutely my team to watch. in playoffs
Mhm.
right now.
For sure.
But I'll let you talk. I could gush over
No,
Viper
no.
forever. It feels like.
I mean, I'm with you. I mean, I think like they're very fun here, and like it's cliche. It's like, oh, players having fun play well. It's like that's true, first of all, and it's not like they're like, oh, we're stomping the lead, we're having fun. 100 Thieves is the worst goal differential at 15 minutes. They're like they're constantly taking punches in the early game, but they don't. That's the thing is this team keeps going out there, and I think I mentioned this on an earlier episode, it almost feels like they are just taking as many reps, like as many boxing rounds as they can early on to download information. So
Yep.
they figure out enough about how you play your composition, and then they will out team fight you.
Yep.
And it'll be close enough in gold to where they will be down only a few thousand, and then they will completely wipe you off the map, and all of a sudden the game's theirs
Yep.
for the rest of the time.
It's awesome.
Or they win right from the beginning because Sniper solo killed your top laner like 12 times by the end of the sentence, right? Like, I mean, it's really really awesome. Like the way that they play is fun to watch. Individually, you have a lot. I mean, this is not just because there's River on the team, but there's a lot of like Golden Guardians reminiscence here. I think.
Yeah, I
And
can see that.
yeah, and Sniper. I mean, like, yeah, he. I really really like. Big shout out to both Viper and Revenge. Some great LCS players, but also
Mhm.
some great guys. Some of the nicer players I've talked to in the pro scene. I feel like those guys kind of walked so that this kid could run. I think that we're seeing
Yeah,
he is
it's the
becoming
combination of
everything
all
that those
those.
guys were maybe built up to be and what they wanted to be. And I think Viper showed flashes and didn't always quite get there. Revenge had a very good year last year, and I thought it was criminal he didn't uh, have a team this split. But Sniper coming out of the gate like this and not just on like, yeah, he's getting 6 solo kills on Olaf, but he's playing team fights well. His TP flanks are good. He's the whole package, and I'm so excited to see where he goes going forward because I think like everyone's like, give this kid time. I remember Kangas, it was one of the NACL casters who's done some LCS work this year as well. He said he's like, this kid's special. Give him time. Like he had him like I tentatively putting him bottom 2 in spring because I think he's going to be top 3 in like next year or something like that. Like give him some time to ramp up. He's needed no time,
No.
and that's just so exciting to see. So I'm definitely with you there, and yeah, I mean the bot lane I think is like they're like the least focal point. You have Quid winning a ton of player of the games and River being just god basically. And Sniper's obviously really fun, but the bot lane's done really well too. I mean, Ayla has gone from bad circumstances with a visa on FlyQuest to getting signed to a forgettable EG roster that exceeded expectations. Now getting signed to another forgettable roster that exceeded expectations. Like he's got to be brimming with confidence right now to keep being a part of these teams that people forget about, and it just feels deserved after like he got such a bum rap on FlyQuest. Yes, he came to the team and when they were getting worse, but it wasn't like he made that team worse. He was
No.
in visa jail for 5 weeks. Things didn't work out. I think that they should have just kept Winsome. We're not going to talk about FlyQuest last year too much, but the point is that it's nice to see. I think Ayla has. I think that he is getting carried a little bit right now, but I think he's fully earned that given what he dealt with on Flag, like his how his last year went, such a roller coaster, and
Yeah.
he actually ended it pretty gracefully. I thought he was quietly like pretty damn strong on EG, and I think he's continued that here. And to see him also leading a guy like Meech, who Ayla knows what it's like to be like a hyped prospect and come into the league. Like there's a lot of stuff going on there, and I think mentally and just like his disposition. If you've ever spoken to Ayla, if any of you have, he's just incredibly upbeat, very gracious. Like even after like losses interviews, he's always thanking you for your time and like all this stuff. So I think that that's another situation of like those two guys have become more than the sum of their parts and been kind of like really really good team fighters. That's what Mitch is great. He's a great team fighter. That's exactly what this team needs. They don't win lanes. Winning lanes is for suckers. Like
Sniper
you
and
just
Quid win lanes.
that's true. But even so, like I feel like a lot of Quid's biggest plays aren't like, oh my god, and Quid solo killed him and then like spit on
Yes.
his corpse. It's often like, oh, and Quid just 5 mana zero ulted and dealt like 12k damage in a team fight because he used to spar with Chovy and we forgot about that.
Yeah, everybody
Like
just conveniently forgot about him being a
he was
young
on Genji
stud.
Academy, guys. He
Yeah.
was on Genji Academy. It's showing now. I mean, so but that's what I mean is like it's just this seems really exciting because like everything they're doing is as a team, all their strengths. Because again, like I think Quid's been a good laner. I don't think, like I said, he's not like a solo kill, like he's not like in your face all the time, kind of like 1v1 guy. He's doing most of his work on playmaking and team fights.
Yep.
uh, which I think works perfectly with this team. So it's so nice to see a team completely in sync, and that's the thing that I think is the most like FlyQuest is the better team. They have a 2-0 record against them, right? Like they have some better individual players. But if we're talking about a team with a style and a game plan who sticks to it every time, 100 Thieves is the cleanest, most consistent team in the league at understanding their identity and their game plan. They have the most core solidified identity, regardless of power level of any team in this league.
Yeah.
And it's just a benefit that that also happens to be a very fucking fun style to watch.
Oh,
Like
without a
so,
doubt.
it's great for everybody.
Well, it's amazing. And the thing is like they play on a razor's edge so well, right? Because like they are
Hmm.
one of the top teams in deaths, but they're also the top team in kills, right? So it's like again, I
Yep.
use that stat I think more than people would probably like, but I do think it can be a big indicator on teams. And I think for them, like it shows more importantly, it shows the style that team plays, right? And this team is high impact, in your face, going to take a lot of risks. And the only thing that scares me about them is in playoffs that can be mitigated either by their own nerves, right? And not wanting to play that style or being taken advantage of because you know that they're going to try to make some sort of crazy play after you've seen it in game one. You're like, okay, well, game two, here he comes again. Like, have your jungler over here, right? And I think, we're looking right now at the playoff bracket, and we've got FlyQuest versus Team Liquid, 100 Thieves versus Cloud9. High seed left will end up playing NRG. Lowest seed will play Dignitas, I believe. I think that that's correct. So,
Yes,
yeah,
you're right.
yeah.
You're right.
So it's going to be interesting. Like I said, you'll have to catch our episode on Thursday. It'll come out before the games get started. Um,
Yes,
and
playoff starts on Thursday.
yes,
Everyone, do
on
not
Thursday
Thursday, not
it'll be
Friday.
FlyQuest
Thursday.
Team Liquid, I believe, is the first game. Then Friday will be.
100 C9
Is it
is
really?
is Thursday.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, there you go. So yeah, so that series will begin on Thursday, and you'll get to see our predictions as well. You may think from the way we've been talking, but I think I may have some surprises up my sleeve. Not purely for surprises. We are not people here who do things for the clicks in that sort of sense. These are our genuine opinions. So now it may be that we're just a little crazy, and that's fine. We accept that. I mean, that's just who we are. But we enjoy it, and we hope that you guys enjoy it. And I know I'm really excited for playoffs, man. I think, like, I love regular season as much as anybody. I really do. Probably more than most people, actually. But series are what I like the most of League of Legends. And if there were more of series in best of threes in the LCS, I think
Yep.
I'd be a little happier. We had to get our little plug in there for best of threes. But
No,
um,
I'm with you. My prediction rate also. I think my prediction percentage. I mean, we're gonna see how it goes the split since we're tracking it, but like historically, I mean, not surprising, I guess, because they're easier. But like best of my playoff predictions are always better than my when people best of ones. I'm like, I don't know, flip a coin. You tell me. Like, I don't know.
I mean,
Like,
it really
it's
seemed like that this last week too, even to some
for
extent.
sure, yeah. But series, I mean, I think it's exciting. Like, especially like the 100 Thieves like versus Cloud9. Never mind. We're not gonna get it. We're not gonna get into playoff
Yeah,
series yet.
not getting
But
into playoffs
I'm
yet.
so I'm
That
excited for
will
this
be
series for
coming.
like 1,000 reasons. But that next episode. Sorry. Okay.
Thursday and Friday, I think, are going to be really fun. I'm hopeful that Saturday and Sunday can live up to it, but we'll have to see. Um, so yeah, make sure that you guys check out that episode. Nick, any last thoughts before we sign off here?
Hmm. No. I think I
Ooh.
have too many things that I want to say, but I think they're better saved for next episode. Um, yeah, no, I think I'm going to save it for next episode because I think anything that I want to say here will be better applied there.
Okay. My last thing will be I'm excited for what we'll call off season as well, as Nick and I are going to be coming up with some good plans for covering MSI and beyond that. So make sure if you haven't already liked this video, do it because it helps us and we appreciate it. Secondly, comment, let us
Got to know
know.
somewhere.
Yeah, let us know these comments what you guys think of all of our shenanigans. Um, and lastly, as always, make sure to subscribe if you're new. We're putting out an episode or two a week. two for now. Hopefully, two for a little while. We'll have to see depending on how things go after playoffs.
We got this.
We'll figure it
I
out.
believe in us.
We'll figure it out. There's no doubt
Yeah.
about it. But we really do appreciate all you guys who are watching and enjoying this. And, you know, we'll be looking forward to giving you guys our playoffs predictions on the next one. But yeah, with that, we'll catch you guys on the next one.